Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third selection, The Post, 2017, in our current mini-series, All the News That's Fit to Print, produced and directed by Steven Spielberg with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. The screenplay was written by Liz Hanna and Josh Singer, and the score by John Williams. The film is a historical political thriller about the Washington Post and its publication of the Pentagon Papers, a set of classified documents about the U.S. government's 20-year involvement in the Vietnam War, set in Washington, D.C. in 1971. It portrays the pivotal role of the New York Times in breaking the Pentagon Papers and then emphasizes the Post's subsequent involvement. The film received positive reviews with particular praise for Streep's and Hanks' performances. The National Board of Review chose The Post as the best film of 2017, and Time Magazine and the American Film Institute both selected it as one of the top 10 films of the year. It was nominated for Oscars for Best Picture and Best Actress. The film was financially successful, earning nearly $180 million on a budget of $50 million. Manohla Dargis, writing in the New York Times, highlighted some fine points about the film's costume design, stating that the costume designer Ann Roth subtly brightens Katharine Graham, taking her from leaden gray to free-flowing gold. However, New York Times journalists James Goodale and Max Frankel criticized the film's limited portrayal of the Times' role in the expose, although it is shown that the Times published the Pentagon Papers first and played a major role in setting the stage for the legal battle between the press and the U.S. government. The Times won the Pulitzer Prize for Public Service that year for its conditions to this story. On the PBS NewsHour, Goodale said that minimizing the New York Times' role in the expose took artistic license too far, especially in an era when President Trump is picking on the press. On Rotten Tomatoes, the consensus read that the Post's bitingly timeless themes are brought compellingly to life by director Steven Spielberg and an outstanding ensemble cast. Bob Woodward, the Washington Post journalist who reported on the Watergate scandal, called this film a masterpiece. The Post was filmed at numerous sites in and around New York City. The General Mechanics and Tradesmen building in Midtown Manhattan was selected for the headquarters of the New York Times. Other sites used were Central Park South, the Plaza Hotel, and the American Stock Exchange. The scene, showing protesters on the Supreme Court steps, was filmed on the steps of Butler Library at Columbia University. Kay Graham's house was a building on the Iona College campus in White Plains, New York. Interiors of both Graham's and Bradley's homes were shot at Steiner Studios in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and the Mamaroneck Hotel, 1015 Boston Post Road in Mamaroneck, New York, was used for the meeting between Ellsberg and Ben Bagdikian. The courthouse scene was shot at the Supreme Court of the State of New York, 45 Monroe Place in Brooklyn. The Post is one of Hollywood's first responses to the presidency of Donald Trump. When Spielberg read the script, he wanted to make the film in a timely fashion in order to highlight the importance of a free press in a democracy, given the parallels between the film's themes and President Trump's numerous claims of fake news. The Post was completed in only 9 months, on a fast track almost unheard of in Spielberg's canon, and the pace was so fast that Spielberg didn't even hear Williams' score until it was time to record it. The movie ends with a sequence depicting the discovery of the Watergate burglary by security guard Frank Wills, playing himself, which was reported by the Post, and ultimately led to President Nixon's downfall. Ironically, this same sequence constitutes the opening montage of the last film in this series, All the President's Men, which will be shown here next week. Plot summary. In 1971, an American military analyst, Daniel Ellsberg, realizes to his horror the depth of the U.S. government's deception about the futility of the Vietnam War. He responds by copying a trove of top-secret documents that will become the Pentagon Papers. Later, the Washington Post owner and publisher Kay Graham is equally horrified when her editor, Ben Bradlee, discovers that the New York Times has scooped them by publishing the documents. Determined that the Post must compete, Washington Post reporters locate Ellsberg and obtain a complete copy of the papers. But the Post's plan to publish them is jeopardized by a federal restraining order that could lead to contempt indictments for its reporters. Graham must decide whether to back down for the safety of her staff or to publish and fight for freedom of the press. Fun facts about the film. In scenes depicting Nixon on the phone in the White House, his actual voice is heard from White House tapes. In scenes involving the Pentagon Papers, Ellsberg's original documents were used as props, including the pages that were scattered over the floor in Bradlee's office. The movie is dedicated to Nora Ephron, who was once married to Carl Bernstein. All of the newspapers' sounds in the film were recorded with a vintage microphone from the 1970s. Spielberg's son Sawyer has a cameo as a Plaza War protester, sporting a hippie headband and denim top, and wielding a bullhorn. A minute later, Spielberg's daughter Sasha appears as a woman who hand-delivers a package to a reporter at the newsroom desk. In the scene showing the Vietnam War protesters, one of them quotes from Marie Savio's 1964 free speech moment at UC Berkeley, saying, "Put your bodies upon the grass." When Bradlee and Graham discuss JFK's assassination and its aftermath, the camera begins a 53-second unbroken snail zoom in on Bradlee as he sits talking on a couch and ends up on a tight shot of him. It's an homage to the 6-minute zoom shot focusing on Robert Redford in All the President's Men. The conversation between General Haig and President Nixon was a real recording of their voices, taken from a White House phone on June 13, 1971. When we see Ellsberg beginning to copy the report, he's using a Xerox 914, so-called because it could make 914 copies on one unit. The 100 desks for the newsroom were converted with a realistic assortment of contemporary materials, including reference books, newspapers, and other clutter. Many of the newspapers were copies of the real thing, digitally reprinted in limited runs. Matthew Rhys spent a day with Ellsberg preparing for his role. Ellsberg called Rhys a very nice guy and quipped, "It's very nice to be played by a terrific actor who looked very much like I did at that time, only better." Bradlee's car is a Fiat 128. All of the Vietnam War scenes were filmed in rain because it rained constantly in Vietnam. The gradual release of Ellsberg's secret documents led to the raid on his psychiatrist's office as the burglars searched for any means of embarrassing and discrediting him. All this set the stage for the Supreme Court lawsuit, New York Times Company versus the United States, which went 6-3, allowing the two newspapers to print the Pentagon Papers. Justice Hugo Black wrote that only a free and unrestrained press can effectively expose deception in government, and paramount among the responsibilities of a free press is the duty to prevent any part of the government from deceiving the people. Things to look for. Note the period pneumatic tube system for sending articles to the presses. The newsroom has no computers. Note Streep's expression as she finally gets up the courage to print the papers. John Williams' score and Ross' costume for Ms. Streep. The reflection shot of Bogdanovich's face in the phone. All the Vietnam shots filmed in Purchase, New York. The typesetting montage at the end of the film. The 53-second snail zoom focusing in on Bradlee's Fiat 128. Period phones and typewriters. Authentic digital reprints of over 30 newspapers. Look for cameos by Spielberg's children. Frank Wilms, the security guard who discovered the Watergate burglary, playing himself in a montage at the DNC. Nixon's own voice from White House recordings. Steven Spielberg himself appearing at the rear of a group of Post reporters watching a TV report in their newsroom at the film's end, and the dedication to Nora Ephron. Now it's time to view the Post. Sit back, settle down. Please remember, it may take a few minutes for the film to roll. Enjoy.